Hey everybody, it's Tyler Austin. Thank you so much for watching. So in this video, I'm going to go over the advantages of having a red dot on your pistol. The big debate nowadays is whether or not a red dot belongs on a pistol, particularly for like CCW or on like a fighting pistol. And I'm here to tell you that they absolutely 100% do belong on a CCW or a fighting pistol. There are so many advantages to having a red dot on your pistol that they are absolutely worth the investment. At least in my opinion, they're absolutely worth the investment, and I think that you should really consider putting a red dot on your pistol. A red dot on your pistol has the same exact advantages as a red dot on your rifle. You just now have it on your pistol. So what are the advantages of having a red dot? Well, the biggest advantage of a red dot, whether that's on a pistol or rifle, whatever, is the ability to target focus. At the end of the day, for the last million years that human beings have been using weapons of some sort, we have used those while focusing on the thing we are trying to hit or kill or whatever, right? A million years ago, when we wanted to throw a rock at something or somebody, we didn't look at the rock and throw the rock at the person. We looked at the person or whatever we wanted to throw the rock at. We took the rock and we threw it at them. Spears, we don't look at a spear and throw it. We look at the thing we want to throw a spear at and we threw the spear. Bows and arrows, we don't, focus on the arrow at the end of the bow, right? We focus on the thing we want to shoot the arrow at and we shoot the arrow. Even like, in the very beginnings of like firearms, where sights were really crude and guns weren't really even accurate enough to be reliably aimed anyways, we target focus. We didn't really use sights. It's only once firearms technology actually got to the point where firearms were relatively accurate that we started putting sights on guns, and that kind of changed everything, where we started focusing on sights, particularly front sights, rather than staying target focused. And obviously, this can be trained. Obviously, particularly if you practice, train, and particularly if you do actual force-on-force training. Certainly, you can be taught to front sight focus. We're just talking about handguns here. But at the end of the day, no matter how good you are at that and how trained you are at that, it is still unnatural. And being able to target focus is always going to be the more natural thing to do, and red dots allow you to do that. You no longer have to transition from target focus to front sight focus when using a red dot. You just stay target focused, you bring the gun up, and hey look, there's a dot, and you remain target focused. And that is a massive advantage, the biggest advantage to using a red dot. Whether that's on a pistol or rifle, again, red dots on a pistol offer the same advantages of red dot on a rifle. So there's no like specialty things here. It just, you now have the advantage of a red dot on the pistol. The next biggest, in my opinion, advantage to a red dot is field of view, and along with that, situational awareness and tracking. So your field of view when using a red dot on a pistol is far better than when you're using iron sights. Because when you're using iron sights, the gun is way up in your face, and you got the iron sights that are obstructing a lot of your view. It's just the nature of the beast with that. With a red dot, yes, you still have a pistol up in front of you, but now you have a screen, a shroud, if you will, and that screen, right? You just have a better field of view with a red dot than you do with iron sights. And as a result, your situational awareness is going to be a lot better, right? You can just see more, and along with the fact that you are target focused. When you're using iron sights, again, that gun is way up in your face. You got those iron sights are obstructing a lot of your view, so it can be kind of difficult to see a lot what that, if you're aiming at a person, what that person's doing. It's hard to see their hands, hard to see body movement, all that stuff. With a red dot, it's a lot easier, especially since you are target focused, because now the target is in focus, that person's in focus, rather than the front sight. So that person's no longer a blur. They're the ones that are in focus. Again, that just improves your situational awareness. And along with that, you're tracking whether you are moving and or the target is moving. Your ability to track a moving target is better because, again, your field of view is better, your target focused, all that. So this, again, in my opinion, is the second biggest advantage to using a red dot, particularly on a pistol. Eyesight. Listen, if you're a older guy or even a younger guy who has shitty genes, I suppose, if you're a guy who has really shitty eyesight, a red dot will revolutionize your ability to shoot pistols. It really will. And even if your eyesight's really bad and the dot is blurry, I can 100% assure you a blurry red dot is far superior than a blurry iron sight picture. Trust me on that. So again, if you're a guy who doesn't have really good eyesight, really consider getting a red dot. Believe me, it will revolutionize the way you shoot pistols. All right, so now we're going to get into kind of some niche things here. Long range shooting. This isn't even really debated on the internet, shockingly enough. But long range shooting with a red dot is just a lot easier, particularly with a pistol. That's not even really debated on the internet, so I won't hound on that one very well. Really niche things. If you shoot a lot under night vision, shooting again, if you're a guy, this is particularly going to apply to high level military units, and if you're happen to be a civilian who has the opportunity and the money to train a lot under night vision, you probably already figured this out, but shooting a handgun with a red dot is just leaps and bounds superior than shooting under anything else. Certainly under iron sights or with iron sights, and generally it's preferable to shooting even with a laser. There's really almost no other way to shoot a handgun well under night vision other than using a red dot. So again, if you're in that kind of category of people who likes to train or has the opportunity to train under night vision, red dot is probably the way to go, although you've probably already figured that out. Some other advantages, believe it or not, a red dot will definitely improve your shooting. Because of how a red dot functions compared to like iron sights, it's a lot easier to see mistakes, particularly if you're yanking the trigger on a pistol. You will see that a lot better while using a red dot rather than using iron sights, because movement in the gun is translated or viewed a lot better with a red dot rather than iron sights. So believe it or not, shooting a red dot will actually make your iron sight shooting a lot better. Trust me on that. Because again, you're able to see mistakes that you're making a lot easier when using a red dot than when using iron sights. So those are really like the big main advantages to using a red dot. There are some other ones too. Target transitions are a lot easier, again, because better field of view, better situational awareness, the ability to target focus, so you're no longer transitioning your focus from target focus to front sight focus. So transitions are a lot faster, a lot easier, generally speaking, with a red dot than it is with iron sights. There's just a lot of advantages to a red dot, and like I said, if you haven't considered red dotting a pistol, I highly suggest you do so. Now, of course, there are some disadvantages to having a red dot on your pistol. I'll make a separate video on that, and I can assure you it'll be a lot shorter of a video because there simply isn't a lot of disadvantages, particularly nowadays since red dot technology, these little micro red dot, the technology has advanced so far that they're extremely reliable, very durable. There's just simply not a lot of disadvantages to having one now. So that'll be a lot shorter of a video, but spoiler, the biggest one really is just being cost. Obviously, for a good red dot, you're going to be looking at around $300 to $600, depending on what you're going for, or the particular dot that you're going with. the two companies that I recommend wholeheartedly is Holosun and Trijicon. I think they offer the best red dots on the market. This particular one being a Holosun Vulcan. I think Holosun and Trijicons are the best dots on the market, and those are the ones I highly recommend. And again, you're going to be looking around $300 to $600 depending on which dot you plan to go with. And then on top of that, if you don't already have a slide milled for the dot, you're either going to have to mill your slide, or you're going to have to buy a separate slide that's milled for the dot, and that's obviously another expense. So there is certainly, that's probably the biggest disadvantage to putting a dot on your pistol is the extra cost of it. But in my opinion, if you can afford it, I absolutely think it's worth the investment, and I think the advantages are absolutely worth the cost you're going to pay to put that dot on your pistol. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, follow, depending on where you're watching this. I'm Tyler Austin. Thank you so much for watching.